This is a video about the networking map, and in particular, how to add data to the map, and also a bit about what we're trying to do with this tool. You're looking here at the event space in KikoChat, through which you can access the map using this button right here. And that opens it up inside of a little embedded window. Because the map's fairly big, it really works best on a computer, and it works best if you pop it out of this little space right here. So I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here and click to open this tool in a new window. That's a nice trick also for Google Docs that we have embedded, and other tools where you want a bit more space. So here we are looking at the map just in its own browser window. This is a public map. It's a resource. It's a commons for the movement for bioregional regeneration. There's another video that talks about how to navigate the map, and there's information about that here in the sidebar on the left, which you can always get back to. Once you've selected somebody in the map, you can click and hold in the white space to get back to that. I'll put a link to this video in there too. Right now, there's a preview saying it's going to be coming, and it'll be there when I finish recording it and loading it onto YouTube. So I want to talk about these connections and the data in general, and the purpose of the map here. You can think of this as, if you will, as a kind of a dance floor. I'm recording this now just a couple of hours before the opening plenary. And so you can see that most people are on the periphery here. They're standing against the wall, watching as some people have stepped into the floor even before the music has really gotten going, and have started dancing with each other. And the form of this dancing is in these lines that people are drawing that have different meanings. So there's a bit of a legend down here. If it's a solid line, that means there's an invitation being made. If the line is blue, it means that there's an appreciation being expressed. If it's purple, it indicates somebody has a lead role with a partner initiative. And so we're not mapping who's already connected to whom. We're trusting that you're already really well connected with each other, and that actually using this map, you can find one another too, because in most people's profiles, there is contact information. And certainly if there isn't, just click in the white space here. You can always email us, and we'll help you get connected to the people you want to reach. So how do you add these lines? And let's look a little bit more at what they say. The other thing I just want to show you is that you can click on the lines to actually get information about what's going on there. And you can click on yourself and see who's pointing to you, or who to get a sense of those invitations as well. All right, so look for the arrows coming in, and you click on those, and that gives you some valuable information. This sidebar, you can toggle with these three little dots, or the tab key. Sometimes it's a little hard to get that to click. There we go. So here's an example of Brian McConnell saying to Isabel Carlisle, I want to know more about your work. And he gives a little bit more of a message about why and how he's planning to contact her. So let's look at how that data gets created. You should all, if you opted into being on the map, you should have received a link to your mapping dashboard. So this is another one of those personalized links, similar to, but not the same as, the one that gets you into the event space that we were looking at here on KikoChat. If you can't find that email, it comes from SUMAP, SUMAPP. You can also pull it up using the sidebar here. If you're on the map already, right here, you wish to retrieve your mapping dashboard link, you may do so here. Just click here and use the email that you used to register for the summit. So once you've done that, it's going to open up. Once you get that link, it's going to take you to something that looks like this. And this is where you can add to and update the data that you provided when you registered, which is how almost all of you got on the map. If you didn't opt to be on the map when you registered, again, in the map sidebar, there's an email link to let us know you want to be added. So You can upload a picture. That's highly recommended. There's a little bit of a tweet length description of yourself that if you provided it in your registration, we've pasted that in for you. By the way, an enormous amount of work goes into uploading this data from registration into the map. Almost all of that done by Lauren Minnis. We're very, very grateful for her support. We can do batch uploads of most of the data, but this little bit of text was manually cut and pasted in for every single person who registered for the summit and opted to be on the map. So the next interface here, you have these different tabs at the top. So you've got thumbnail, which we just looked at. Now we come to profile, and you can see there are profile questions that we did not ask you when you registered. So please do go into the system and look at these questions and add more information, because we can actually, this is important stuff that will create greater value during the summit and beyond the summit. And this map really is intended to be a tool for capturing and working with the energy that the summit generates on an ongoing basis, not just something that supports us during the summit itself. So for example, languages and roles you play in connection with bioregional regeneration. These are now things you can sort for on the map. So here are the languages that people have already said in that question that they speak, and we can just see the people who've answered that they speak French, for example. And I guess I thought I had put in a thing to sort for the roles, but right now it's just the contexts for the summit. So that's the answer to this question right here. Context for radical collaboration that interests me. So we'll be creating more views. We'll be creating more of these little filtering tools. For example, by the time you listen to this video, there should be something about the roles you play as a drop down there. So please do go back in and answer some more of these questions, and we'll be creating more views and more features to make all this stuff visible. Here's another one that's useful. If you want to work with this map as a weaver, if you want to help build this movement by connecting people, by helping to organize conversations and tap into the opportunities that are emerging from the summit, please consider joining our weaving team. And you can signal that here in this profile, and that'll make it easy for us to find those folks and for other people to see them on the map too, to see, oh, that person's a weaver, which might be valuable. Here are the questions you answered when you registered. You can add to or update or modify that information as well. So once you get all that in, you can click next, or save is at the very bottom. And it'll take you then to the connections tab. And here's how you draw those lines. So there's something like 400 people on this map already. So you can just sort of scroll through, but you might want to do some more sophisticated searching. You can look for any particular person by just clicking right here and putting in some of their name. Or you can do filter by segment. And so this is based on how people registered. If people registered in Spanish using the Spanish language registration form, you'll pick them up this way. If they registered using the English language form, you can just select them. That doesn't mean that they don't speak Spanish. That's where we're hoping that profile data gets filled out. But we know that the people who registered in Spanish do. So that's one thing you can do. You can also, here's where those roles come in. When people fill out the roles that they play in bioregional regeneration, you can say, just show me the people that are doing art making, for example. And then you can choose perhaps to connect with some of them. So I'm kind of drawn to this one here with Felipe Leal. I don't speak Spanish, but if I did, I might reach out to connect. I would click on them. There's some text that's actually saying a lot of what I'm telling you right now about how we're looking for invitations to connect rather than the connections that already exist, because we're trusting that you can find people here. We're already very well connected, and that's not the point of what this map is here to do. So we're looking for connections you want to make during the summit. And if you want to connect with a particular person, you click on them. That little tweet length thing, by the way, that is in that thumbnail part of your profile, the thing that was manually cut and pasted in by Lauren, that labor of love, that shows up here. And that's the only information you see about that person inside of this interface. So maybe that's enough for you to know you want to connect with them, but you might also want to go to the map and look for them, all right? And then you can see a bit more about this person, including how to contact them and confirm that, yes, I really do want to talk to Felipe, for example. So assuming you've done that and you're good to go, back over here, you can indicate something about how you want to connect as well as why, what kind of a connection and what your intention is. And you can say more about that here. And it's really nice to do this because when people see that a line has been drawn to them on the map and they don't know you, this will help them to understand why you're reaching out, and will make it more likely that they respond to you. We also want to encourage you to let the person know that you've drawn this line on the map, not just rely on them going to the map, clicking on themselves, and seeing who's pointing at them. I'll show you how to do that in a second, but there are other ways to contact them, and I strongly recommend that you also do that if you're reaching out in this way. That will make it much more likely that that things happen as a result. Right? And then we're also using this survey here, this connection survey between people, to show what's happened as a result of the summit. So we can track how many people met for the first time, or deepened an existing relationship, or learned about someone else's work in a way that was valuable to them. And you can put in something about gifts you received from that person as a result of the summit. And these are coded in the map as blue lines on the map. So if that's a way that we can really measure some of the value that the summit is creating, and get a sense of how much has happened as a result of our gathering. So if you put in this data, it'll generate a solid line on the map as well. So you can go in and see, who's putting out invitations to connect. Let's take a look at this one back for Felipe here. Sometimes it's a little. So Disney Baquero is saying, I'd like to learn more about their work. So that's a pretty minimal effort, and it would be really up to Felipe to go to themselves and click on themselves and see who's pointing at them. If the map is really busy, some parts of this, get kind of crowded. So you can use this focus button over here to just see the lines that you've drawn and the ones that are coming to you, and click on those. So that's the person-to-person connections inside of the SumMap mapping dashboard. You can also show connections to partners, and soon we'll have something we're calling opportunity explorations that will be on here as well. And in this case, you'll be able to filter. You can see just show the partners, or once we have the opportunities on there, you'll be able to look at those too. And here, what you're able to do is indicate if you do have a connection with this partner. In this case, we do want to show who's in a lead role or part of these initiatives, as opposed to the person-to-person connections where we're not really mapping how you're already connected. But we think it's useful in the case of partners to show how you're connected. And then again, you can show if you want to make new connections, and a little bit about why. And it's useful to put this additional information in so that the partners have an understanding of why you're reaching out to them. And we've requested to all the partners that they go to the map and they look at this data. So it's not as important necessarily that you email them or contact them with this request, although you're certainly welcome to do that too. And if you look them up on the map, there should be their website and other contact information there. Now, if you're someone who has entered a partner into the map, then you'll probably see this other option up here. If you haven't, you'll just see Summit, the People tab. But if you put a partner in, you can go there, and there's a similar interface for partners. So this is a separate part of the database where you can put in an image, another one of those tweets. There's a different profile survey for partners that you can complete. And then we have connections. These are connections among partners. So partners can show connections to one another, how they're connected. Maybe they want to connect, actions they're taking to make that connection. So that's a different set of lines. And this is also where you will see opportunities. So eventually, hopefully by the end of this first week of the summit, we'll have a separate element on the map besides the little circles that are people and the squares that are partners. There'll be some other shape. Maybe there'll be diamonds, I don't know, that will represent opportunities. And these are essentially going to be invitations to engage in some way during and beyond the summit. And you'll be able to come into SumApp then, and you'll see that up here, or you might have a separate dashboard link for this if you have a partner as well as an opportunity, because we can only put 2 of those up there tied to your email. But in any case, there'll be a way to access the survey. So this details here is going to have a section for partners and a section for opportunity explorations. And you'll scroll to find the one you want to use. And when you're in here as a person, you'll be able to click partners and opportunities and filter by segment and just look at the opportunities or search on them. And I think there's one more thing as well that you'll be able to do. Right. Of course. So when you show the connections there, when you open up the survey for those, there will be a new section that says opportunity connection info, and that you may have to scroll down to find that, and a different set of questions similar for that. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this. This is Ben Roberts, the creator of this map and part of the hosting and convening team for the summit. And really appreciate the patience that's required to navigate this technology. I do want to say just sort of one last little comment about that. This stuff isn't perfect. It's the best we think is out there to do things that we think are valuable. We're trying to navigate a lot of complexity, and so having tools that can help us visualize that complexity and work with it makes sense. We could have chosen to use only the simplest and most sort of trouble-free tools that are out there and not offer all these things. I know they create confusion and stress for some of you. It's hard. There's a bit of a learning curve involved. And we simply ask first for your patience in dealing with them. Come to the Hangouts if you need help. We're there to offer that, or send us an email using the link at the bottom of this if you have some questions. But also just recognize that maybe this is going to be a challenge in a way that just doesn't work for you. And not everybody has to use these tools, or you can ask for somebody to help you use them if it's important to you. But just find the ways to participate in the summit that work for you, and accept that there's value in inviting in this complexity, even if it also creates a certain kind of friction as a result. So again, thanks so much for your patience and your interest, and I hope the summit is an incredibly valuable experience for you, and that you're able to use it to serve the broader movement for bioregional scale regeneration.